Welcome to Restaurant Executive Mastery, the podcast where you get to hear how top restaurant executives bring transformational changes to the business. He is John Shaw, speaker, executive, and life coach, entrepreneur, interfaith minister, and former restaurant leader for over 25 years. He's also a chocolate cake lover. I love making sure we point that out. I am Rev Ciancio, a hospitality marketing consultant, influencer, former bar owner, and coffee fanatic.
This show is created to help restaurant executives master their mindset and find inspirational ways to change their business from the top to the bottom. We're showcasing top thinkers in our business and also give tactical solutions and examples that can help you move your needle.
Everybody, please welcome Bryan Reynolds to Restaurant Executive Mastery Podcast. Bryan is the co-owner of Anthem Coffee Tea, a family-owned and operated 8-location coffee roaster and shop based around the Puget Sound area. That's Tacoma, Washington, for those of you who don't know what the Puget Sound is. Their logo is a megaphone, and it's because they believe in living loud. They even have their own Live Loud Fest, which is a music and arts festival that celebrates local musicians, artists, and food vendors. But that's not all. Bryan's a father. He's a husband. He's a philanthropist, a community leader. I don't have enough fingers here. And he teaches other entrepreneurs how to build their brand, master social media, and be a part of their community. I'm not sure if it's the caffeine. More likely it's just who Bryan is, but he is always filled with energy.
Bryan, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you guys so much, man. It's such a privilege to be here with y'all. I'm pumped about this. So thank you guys.
Awesome, Bryan. We're excited. So listen, in the wake of the current pandemic, right, you pivoted to just pickup and delivery. Then you decided to close some shops, no pickup or delivery. You started working on some web orders, but then you just reopened 3 of them back up and for pickup and drive-through, all in the matter of really a couple of days. Can you talk through what happened in all those processes and what got prioritized and what changes were made?
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, for everybody, we've only had limited information coming in. So trying to make any kind of plans has been absolutely challenging and just difficult. And, we've wanted to do the right thing. One of our values is we do the right thing. It's so important to us that we're taking care of our people, that we're doing our part during this time. So when our governor in Washington State here mandated that we all stay home, we decided, okay, we will go ahead and close for the safety of our team and for just, to help flatten the curve and be a part of just being socially responsible. So in doing so, I mean, it's been over a month since we had our stores closed. It took about 3 weeks or so for us to figure out, hey, let's sell some coffee beans online because it's something we've wanted to do for 3-4 years. What better time than now to do it? So had a dear friend reach out, say, hey, I'll help you build the site. We'll get the thing going. And we opened that a little over a week ago. So that was very helpful. Finally get some revenue trickling back in. But just as of yesterday, we opened 3 stores focusing on the curbside delivery. People are still able to walk in, but we have, markers on the floors preventing from more than 10 people to be in there at any given time. So like literally it's like a concierge service. We're bringing people in, go ahead and place your order and then please wait outside and we'll run in your drink to you as soon as it's ready. We're leveraging mobile technology too through the Joe Coffee app. So huge shout out to those guys for making that possible for us to really seamlessly receive orders, have almost frictionless interactions with our customers, cashless transactions, all through the digital platform of the mobile ordering. So yeah, we're back in business and it feels great. We asked our team, are you guys ready to jump in and make this thing happen? And every one of them was like, put me in, coach. I'm ready to play. Let's go hard. There's some that still feel a little bit of anxiety about working, and we're okay with that, of course. Just we want to make sure first and foremost our people are taken care of, and that again we're still taking every safety precaution and every measure to just be responsible during this time, as we're still a business and we're considered essential. We want to serve our coffee, help people live loud, and just serve our communities like we have, man. So yeah.
That's awesome. So in the quote unquote shutdown period, I imagine you were actually like 10 times busier trying to figure out what operational changes needed to happen so that you could get back to serving.
There wasn't enough whiteboards for me to plan and dream and scheme. And I'm like, like a beautiful mind kind of thing going on. It was, I was super busy, and the conversations and the meetings that we would have. And again, as data would come in and we would design a plan, that plan would have to change because new data or new information would come in. And so it was a bit taxing, you guys, but I'm thankful for our incredible leadership team. We really approached this before we made any big decisions. We would sleep on it. We would talk through things. And even when we would sleep on it, we'd all agree the next day, but then within 24 hours, there'd be a new mode or a new idea, and we'd workshop that. And okay, that's where we're going to head now. So not so much wishy-washy, but it was like, man, this thing was very fluid, and we had to pivot quite often to figure out when we reintroduce ourselves, how do we do it? And of course, there's all the fears built in too. It's like, will people even remember us? Will they, what about all the new habits and traffic patterns that they've established leaving their homes since we haven't been open? Where have they gone? There was some real fears and real struggles mentally as we talked through some of these things.
There are so many things that you just spoke about that I want to kind of come back to. And one of them is the idea of integrating the new information. We talked about this concept of, so Ilya Prigogine was a Nobel Prize winning physicist who studied chaos theory and the second law of thermodynamics. And what he said was that the universe evolves through chaos, and in open systems like people, companies, relationships, versus closed systems like automobile engines. In a closed system, the introduction of chaotic, new, diverse energy will create an explosion. But in an open system, a person, a company, there's two choices. It can either create disintegration, right, and the demise of that system, or he talked about integration and acceleration. And so when you were using your hands and you were saying all sorts of new information coming in for us to integrate, digest,
yes,
and then create a new vision, you are literally doing what he talked about, which is the visionary move of integrating the new reality and then using that to have an acceleration, right? And so I'd love for you to talk about how you integrated it, how you as the visionary leader led your team into the new vision. And then also, and I know this is a big question, but how you see these changes being permanent accelerations for your business. For example, I have other clients, actually work with a brewery, has similarly didn't sell so much online, now is selling a ton so you now have a new revenue center you didn't have before by means of COVID-19.
Yes.
That when your stores open up, your business is going to have open stores plus online ordering.
That's absolutely right.
And
yes.
So I just want you to talk about that moving of that integration, the leadership piece of visionary, and then where you're going as an acceleration.
Such a great setup, John. Yeah, man, if I could be totally honest with you guys too, the implementation of the information that would come, I got to be honest, dude, there was a lot of fear driving some of our decisions. Now we're very clear also on our guiding principles, on our mission, vision, values, why we exist, our purpose, all of that stuff. And throughout every conversation, I would always be pointing back to our mission of heroic hospitality, right? That's our mission boiled down to two words, is heroic hospitality. I'd be pointing out values, and I would just say, listen, every decision we make needs to filter through all of our guiding principles. And it should spit out an answer, because when we put these together, that helped guide everything we've done to this point to help us become successful. The issue though, and this is where, just real talk, with my mom and dad, my wife and I, through conversations we would have, fear creeped in on some of the decisions and clouded some of I remember 2 or 3 different times we would say, okay, here's our final decision, guys. Here's the direction we're going to go. I would communicate it with, great excitement and clarity, only to have another team member push back on it and remind me of, well, but if we're going to show heroic hospitality, and if that's what we've always shown, let me just share. Here it is, guys. We thought we needed lower prices to get people to come back and see us because we've been out of the game for 30 days. That's me just telling on myself right now. That topic came up. We discussed it a bunch. That was a fear-driven decision. It was a fear-driven conversation. And I'm so thankful. One of our team members boldly stepped up, sent me a video message with great respect, and conveyed her thoughts, said, listen, I've been with the company 7+ years. Never have we, been a discount brand or a value-based type, company when it comes to money, right? That's never been a motivator for us. Our motivation has always been heroic hospitality, to over deliver on service, to create new and exciting experiences for people. And that's where the value comes through. Man, she shot me that message. It wrecked me. I shot it to my folks, and all of a sudden, ultra clarity. Now, we were just at a point where it was decision fatigue. So many decisions regarding our personnel and payroll and this and that. And I mean, everything had exhausted us to the point where we allowed fear to creep in and really derail us a bit. But that helped us to get right back on track, saying, you know what? No, we're going to reopen, and we're going to reintroduce ourselves, and we're going to over deliver on service. So even yesterday, this is the implementation side of the information and kind of where we're at today. It was incredible to begin to dream about some of the new roles that we'll have. I imagined kind of like a concierge position, somebody who would be either in the lobby or even on the patio, somebody who is hosting, and even with the mask on and the gloves and the tablet and the whole thing, but hosting this incredible experience. Again, we can be heroic in our hospitality. What we've always done up to this point is not necessarily what we're going to be able to do into the future. And so, man, I was just ignited to imagine these new roles. I picture our team, going car to car on the sidewalk, and because we have some spaces where people can drive up and actually park their cars. Orders can be taken there. So that's kind of where we're at right now. And as I'm sharing that with our team, their excitement's growing. Like you mentioned, to have an online store coming out of this thing, to have a new experience that we get to offer customers coming out of this thing too. I'm just jazzed. And the way that we were received, people sharing on social media yesterday, texting their pictures, finally my Anthem is back, messages of just appreciation. And I know that there's always going to be noise from people that are like, you shouldn't be open right now, and it's not that we're not bucking any systems. We are right in line with our governor's mandates, and we're able to operate. And so we just decided, let's go.
Man, I don't even know to go here, John. So many awesome things just happened.
Yes. So first of all, just to ground the awareness for our listeners, that every adversity has within it the seed of an equal or greater benefit, which is a great quote from Napoleon Hill. And if you can find it and plant it and nurture it and harvest it, right? And one of the things that was interesting about him is that he actually co-created the idea of the fireside chats with FDR. It was his idea, cool. And he wrote most of the fireside chats with FDR. It was at another time of challenge in our country and our world, right? And so this idea that by means of this experience, you have a new level of heroic hospitality where you're literally having heroic hospitality concierges, going out to connect with your customers, right, in your community. And the fact that you're going above and beyond with your incredible Instagram videos that I love, which we'll be talking more about, and you're leaning into service, right? And so by means of this experience, one of the things that I know is also true is that people will remember who you were being during all of this.
Yes, very true.
You have the opportunity to make an indelible impression on your employees, on your family, on your customers, on your community. And you are a visionary leader who chooses to make an indelibly positive, chooses to lean into service, right? Right. On the negative side, there are people who are making an indelible, not so good impression, right? So people remember who you were during these points of great challenge. And so your capacity to create connection as part of the acceleration of this, your fans who are already crazy, rabid, loyal fans, you're going to have more, and the ones who are more of them, and there's going to be more loyalty.
Wow.
So, right. And I want you to see that, because we want our listeners to know this is possible. If you step in, if you lean in, if you do the right thing, if you lean into the service and doing the right thing for your team, your community, you can grow your business in the midst of this challenge.
Totally agree. Yep. Unreal.
I love this.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jen. I was going to say, I love this idea of the heroic hospitality concierge, but even more like, what do the new roles look like in the new world order, in the new, the restaurants that exist post COVID-19? And we discussed this several times in the show is, restaurants maybe to this point have been about, hospitality and food. And after this is over, for sure, it is going to be about being in service of the community, right?
Yeah.
And part of that is rethinking, what does your staff look like? And I think that, and you touched on having the right technology in play. Maybe it makes sense for a restaurant or hospitality business after this to have one person on their team whose job it is to own hospitality that is managed through a number of technology services, right? Responding to reviews online, responding to tweets, sending out emails, helping people book orders, stuff like that. Like that to me totally ties into the idea of a hospitality concierge role.
I'm excited to build that out for sure, man. Sky's the limit here. I mean, that's the thing. It's even though we felt kind of limited in what we're able to come back and do, that I feel like that restriction kind of forces innovation on another level. It kind of just,
yes.
man, it brings some of the best things, best ideas out of us. So
I also want to return to the idea. Thank you for being vulnerable and authentic, and about your process with your fear-based decision making. One of the things that I just also what I also know is that vulnerability and authenticity it is proportional to success. That part of the reason that you are as successful is because of your willingness to be yourself and human and authentic. And I just also want our listeners to really have a role model in that, right? Most of us are afraid to be authentic.
Yeah.
But the holding back creates holding back in the field of our success. When we lean in and we're totally open, the channel for our abundance, our giving and receiving increases. So you're a demonstration of that.
Thank you,
which is
John.
Beautiful.
That's cool.
But also the idea of the two things I want to talk about: managing mindset and being aware of the fear-based decision, being open to other people on your team serving you as the leader, right? And being open to not being, it's called a distributed leader, where shares authority, not just my way or the highway.
Right.
But also mission-driven decisions, core value decisions. And I just want you to speak a little bit more about that, because the best companies, the best leaders, the ones that we admire, stay true to their core values, and their core values are the decision-making criteria. So I just speak more about your vision-driven, because it's not just showing up in COVID-19, but it's in everything that you do. Your mission is very clear.
Wow. Well, it was years ago, I had experienced burnout. After our first 5 years in business, trying to be all things to all people, trying to take every bit of insight that a customer might mention to us. Hey, you guys should consider doing this. Or what if you did this? Or what if you brought this product? Oh, and I would go, of course, just my heart to want to implement and serve people well. Yeah, I'd love to do that. And then all of a sudden I have my team over here saying, well, we should try this. And I was just stretched thin, totally like Stretch Armstrong from the 80s toy, 90s toy. And so taxed to the point that I burnt out. I melted down and I had to take 30 days off from work. I didn't know what exactly had happened to me, but my body shut down essentially. And I remembered years prior, I had a mentor in my life that would continue to encourage me. Bryan, you should write a mission statement. Year after year after year after year after we had opened our coffee business. And I remember my response year after year after year after year was, man, look at the success we're experiencing. Look, there's lines out the door. I mean, look how great things are going. Little did I know, not having a mission statement or any kind of guiding principles or guardrails for our business caused me to, again, become all things to all people, be stretched thin to the point that I just burnt out. And I believe had I had a clear set of guiding principles articulated on purpose, on paper, ahead of time, that could have saved a lot of heartache and headache. But while I was away, while I took 30 days away, the first thing that I did was I read a book called Leading on Empty It's by a pastor named Wayne Cordero. And he talked through his burnout experience, and it was unreal to kind of just be led into that world a little bit and to hear how to come back. One of the principles he taught was this 85-10-5 rule. And the idea was 85% of what we do every single day, somebody else can do, you know? That was sweeping the lobby and taking orders at the register and unlocking the shop and opening it. I was doing all of that, right? 10% of what we do every day, somebody with a little bit more training, leadership level, management could handle. The inventory and ordering and scheduling and deposits and things like that. And again, I was doing all those things. And then there's 5% that only I can do, that I'll be held accountable for at the end of the day. And it was crazy, you know, immediately after I read that and began to understand that information, I started to write down, okay, what is a typical day and week look like for me as a leader? And I started writing all these tasks down. The interesting thing is I had believed a little bit about, you know, my gosh, I always say this, there's the difference between a wantrepreneur and an entrepreneur. The wantrepreneur says, if you want something done right, you do it yourself, right? That's kind of the old way of thinking. It's no one can do it better than you. So, you know, if you want it done right, you do it. But an entrepreneur empowers and entrusts and gives responsibility away and leads with vision and clarity and all that. And so in that moment, I had a point of reckoning, because for the longest time, my parents were saying, even to me, Bryan, no one can greet like you can. No one can make coffee like you can. No one can sweep the lobby like you can, you know, just you're the guy. And I knew in my heart of hearts that if I would have continued on believing that, first, it would wreck me as a human, but secondly, it would prohibit us from growing and becoming the company that, you know, was in my heart and in our vision to become. So that exercise of identifying the 85, the 10, and the 5 was so important to me as I wrote down the tasks that I was doing daily, you know, just filled up a sheet of paper, and then I organized them. That way, when I came back, I realized, holy smokes, man, my 5%, here's what it looks like. My job is to protect culture, to cultivate leaders, to cast vision, and to grow daily. It's kind of a fourfold responsibility. And there's a lot within all of those lanes, but all of the ancillary, you know, in the 10% realm of placing orders online for inventory, doing the scheduling, doing those things, or even running the espresso bar or the front line POS and all that. And it's not that I'm above any of that. It's just that I understood, man, if I don't fulfill my role and my responsibility, we're not going to be able to create opportunity for other people, and we're not going to be able to scale this thing. So that was a pivotal moment in realizing that, which then also led to me being able to flesh out our guiding principles. Finally, I wrote a mission statement. I remember just grabbing the phone from my bedside, thinking to myself about what have we done in the past that's led to our success today. And as I defined it, here's what it said. We create unique experiences that change lives and bring people back. We do this by loving and serving people, by preparing top-notch handcrafted food and beverages, and by creating an environment where real relationships are fostered. That became our mission statement, you know, as to which we then boiled down to the 2 words of heroic hospitality. But from there, I began to hammer out values. I began to hammer out a vision statement as well. Shot it off to my team. I said, man, when I come back from this 30-day hiatus, we're going to do things differently. And they were so bought in, so on board. And we've run our business the last 8 years through the lens of those guiding principles. So we've been in business 13 years total. The first 5 years led to a crash. The last 8 years have led to a total of 8 stores. And boy, I got to tell you, it's so much fun when in a sober-minded moment, you can articulate the vision of what it is you want to create. And you can just clearly communicate to your team what you're about. That just gives you some rocket fuel to fuel your future, man. So
God, I wish every conversation I had every day was this awesome, Ryan. John and I actually we do some show prep and we put some notes down about things we want to talk about. And I literally had your mission statement in here and I was going to read it off, but of course you read it. Of course you did, because that's what you would do. Listen, I'm a branding junkie, right? It makes me nuts. And I might be the only person that pays attention to this. But when I go to a business's website and then their Instagram and then some other property that they have and the experiences don't align, right? I question if they even have a mission statement, if they have core values, key messages, like all of that stuff, right? But not Anthem Coffee, right? It's all right there. It's on the front of your website. I love it. Okay. I really want to talk about the importance of these things and how you translate that to employees and customers and how they feel it and how you make that happen. Like, how does it become a part of everything?
Wow. Well, first from the top down, from the leader, you have to really believe it, own it, memorize it. I mean, if I didn't have that implanted on my heart, first of all, and then memorized, because here's what I truly believe, Rev, is beliefs drive our behaviors, right? You want to talk about mindset and all that. What we believe drives our behavior. So when we've mandated that every single person on our team memorizes that long-winded mission statement that I just shared with you, they have it committed to memory within the first week of their onboarding and hiring, because beliefs drive behavior. So when we believe the same thing, it unifies all of our behaviors and what we do day in and day out as a coffee business. Now, it might look different. The heroic hospitality that one person deploys might be different than the heroic hospitality that another person deploys. But at the end of the day, it's heroic hospitality nonetheless, right? And it's beautiful that we're able to create, as in that first sentence, we create unique experiences that change lives, right? We haven't even talked about coffee yet. We're just talking about connecting with people and celebrating the uniqueness of each individual on our team to have the freedom to create a unique experience that would change that person's life in that moment. And so the cool thing is coffee is just the vehicle, the tool that we get to use to grow the people business and to be in the life-changing business. And our team is, and that's the first thing I do when we onboard and hire people. It's the first thing that's talked about on day one. It's not, hey, let's go through our manual and talk about processes and protocols. It's heart, 100% from the horse's mouth in our orientation meeting. That's the first 3 hours are spent unpacking why we do what we do and who we are. And by that time too, people that have interviewed, people that have been through the interview process, it's kind of a 3-step process. They've already interacted with our mission statement multiple times. They've seen video, kind of our story. They know what they're getting into. And by the time, we choose them, they're choosing us as well. We always say we hire fit first. And so we want to make sure we're finding people that fit and align with who we are and what we want to do day in and day out. And then from a customer standpoint, how they just, what's crazy is they catch heroic hospitality. They hear us talking about it. They even begin to refer to this thing that Anthem does called heroic hospitality. Maybe it's because it's been all over our websites or Facebook. Maybe it's because we continue to tell that message and share that as something that we do. But it becomes a bit contagious, and people are going, I want to implement that in my business. And I want to, teach me. I've been brought in to teach people how to show heroic hospitality in their service and their businesses and whatnot. And so even writing a book right now entitled Heroic Hospitality, breaking down the principles of what we've done over the last 8 years to experience the level of joy, freedom, and success in running a business, So, yeah.
Man, I want to open an Anthem Coffee where I live just so I can be on a permanent coaching with you.
Yes.
That's awesome.
And all this happens while I'm making a latte for you.
Yes.
I know Don has an awesome question here for you, but I want to real quick. Can you give us a simple working example of how or a listener might use something like this in a really common everyday business, like having a mission statement? Can you give us a simple example of how that mission statement drives a simple answer?
Wow. Yeah. I guess when you have a simple mission statement, even a few words that would guide, your thought process or your behavior that day. It's going to change the way you greet people when they come through your door. It's going to change the way you actually deploy the service that you provide. It's going to change your demeanor of how you're actually speaking to people on the phone. You might actually find yourself smiling more because you have, there's a confidence that comes with knowing what it is you're trying to do every day and who it is you're trying to do it for. You know, there's just so many upsides. If I could tell your listeners now, stop everything you're doing. I mean, right now we're kind of all forced to stop. Like, this is the perfect time to think back on better days, or, you know, the days before. Think about the things that led to your success, write those things down, and craft a mission statement, craft a set of guiding principles that when you come back to this new norm, that you can deploy, that you can excite your team around. The biggest gift that comes out of having a clearly articulated set of guiding principles is the unity. The unity, I think, within yourself and your team and the brand, but also just to be able to serve your community to the best of your ability. It doesn't feel foggy or bizarre or like, why did Anthem do that thing? It's like, it's all on mission, on point. I mean, same thing with the Live Loud Music and Arts Festival that you had mentioned in the show opening. You know, that is driven from our vision of what, you know, wanting to create unique experiences that change people's lives, right? Artists' lives, entrepreneurs' lives, you know, customers and the community that would come and attend these events for free, right? We find sponsors to help offset the cost so we can provide that as an event. So there's just so much good that comes out of having clarity in your day-to-day.
That's so much incredible stuff there. I want to give you an opportunity to talk about Love Local and Love Local together, because you're doing so much to not only serve and lead your own business and your own employees and team and customers, but you're really serving your community of business owners and with coaching. So tell us a little bit about your coaching and also about Love Local and Love Local together.
I appreciate that, John. Yeah. You know, the creative agency that has helped with our marketing over the years, and another just bridge builder, community builder in our community. His name's EJ O'Donnell. He has a page that's widely viewed in Tacoma on Instagram, you know, 20, 30,000 viewers on that. And he said, man, I want to utilize this page to give back. Like, what can we do with this page? And so we said, you know, we created this campaign together. Well, why don't we just love local? Let's figure out, let's get this message of, you know, because people were asking me, people were asking these other business leaders, you know, what can we do? How can we help small businesses, artists, musicians, and all that? And as questions would come in, we said, well, let's, you know, the heart of the creative agency that we've deployed at Anthem, and that's behind this Love Local campaign, their heart is to do good and document it, and to inspire others to do the same thing. So as all these questions would come in of how can we help, we would try to find people who were already doing good, and we would try to document that or have them tell the story of the good that they were doing, so that it would inspire other people to do good as well. And that's kind of how the Love Local Together campaign came about. It's just business owners helping business owners, private citizens going, hey, let me invest X amount of dollars to serve you and your company. You know, so many different beautiful things. People have risen up and to meet the needs of artists. Again, artists, musicians, business owners are struggling. It's been incredible, man. So the idea is Love Local Together. I don't think this is a one and done campaign at all. This is the beginning and the start of a movement, I believe, of a greater awareness of how important local business, musicians, artists, entrepreneurs, nonprofit organizations are to our communities, and how people can support them in the future. So,
and tell us about your leadership coaching that you've been providing.
Yeah, you know, so weekly we do a Zoom call. We've begun to bring in a guest. In the first time we did it, it was kind of just let's get a collective mind together and see where everyone's at. The next week I did just a leadership talk, a simple leadership lesson of kind of my journey in leadership, and helping some folks to figure out the pathway kind of during this time on how to lead well. The last couple times we've interviewed somebody, and done a Facebook live stream of that as well. So I see this continue to be an ongoing avenue as well, to just serve whoever might tune in, whatever audience might be, wanting to grow and learn during this time. We're going to be telling stories. We're going to be interviewing folks, and just, together we're going to be able to get through this. We can be a lot stronger. We can overcome things and just make our communities better if we do it together. So
I wanted to just point out one thing that I picked up on your story around managing mindset as a leader. And I know this is something you teach as well as I think it's interesting that in your 30 days away, when you took some space and time to get silent and quiet, is when what your core values and your mission emerged from that.
Yes.
Downloaded essentially, because you took the time to get quiet.
Yes.
Right. To get out of to shift into maybe a more open level of awareness where you're, more access to, you could call it your intuition, universal intelligence, your still small voice, whatever you choose to call that. So if you could just talk to us a moment about that and about how you make that a part of your process.
Yeah, man. I remember, I'm addicted to the hustle, and I think so many folks are as well, that we love to solve the problems and solve the needs that are coming up. And ultimately that led me to the burnout phase, was always trying to be available. I gave so much access to everyone around me. I mean, I nearly lost my marriage, to be honest with you. I married my junior high sweetheart. I was 14. She was 13 when I met her. We've been now married over 16 years and have 3 boys.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But during this process, it was like, my wife likened it to The Walking Dead. I was just a zombie. I was present, but completely unaware of what was happening when I would be at home, because my mind would be on all the other things that were happening within the business. And I found so much value personally and validation in solving the problems for my team and making myself available to my team and not to my family. See, I had the priorities kind of switched up, and my family got the worst part of me, and total strangers and, my team members and whatnot got the absolute best of me. And while I was away too, that realization came crashing in on me that, I have to do this thing different when I come back. I have to get my priorities, right. And so I remember, working with a dear friend, and we focused on, you got to have your soul dialed in, then you got to have yourself dialed in. And then you can think about relationships in your life, right? Then you can focus on your job well, and then finances come. But those are kind of the 5 focus areas and now for years, I've been continuing to meet every single Thursday with this dear friend of mine, Roger. And we unpack those things. We always go, how's your soul? How's yourself? How are the relationships in your life? How's work? And how are your finances and what you're managing? Because these are for us, the 5 most important focus areas in our life. And out of that comes health, comes well-being. I mean, you can't serve others if you don't first serve yourself and take care of you. And we take care of us so that we can take care of other people. And when we understand that, that changes our behaviors. That helps us to have better decisions. And, thankfully I was able to overcome that overwhelming desire to want to, I felt like the only place I could ever win was at work. I didn't feel like I learned how to win at home until I began to come home and say, how can I serve you? Honey, how can I serve you, my bride? And how can I serve you, kids? They just wanted me to be present, first of all. And second of all, to even have the opportunity to do dishes or to fold clothes or to vacuum or play sports with the kids out in the yard or whatever. I started to realize and understand, man, winning at home makes winning at work worth it. And now I'm finally winning at home, and I'm able to go win at work, but I'm able to set boundaries now on work and limit accessibility to me, right? Where I would have my phone on constantly and the earbuds in the ear and always waiting for a message to pop through so I could solve a problem. I'm still not 100% great at all of that, but I'm very much more aware and realize that, balance is a myth. It's impossible to attain without having boundaries. Boundaries lead to balance. And so, just taking an inventory of your life and being able to go, where have I, where do I not have good boundaries, and set those boundaries, because boundaries lead to health and well-being and success over time. Right. And it is about just getting tiny wins. Tiny wins stacked up over time equals success. And so every day there's opportunities to win in any one of those 5 areas. So yeah, that's kind of my new endeavor.
Bryan, I don't think you are selling coffee. I think you are selling service. And of course you are selling something that gives people natural increase through caffeine, because that is your person of natural increase. John and I are like gushing over here, and this is actually the first podcast we've done with video. So I'm thinking maybe we need to share this video because we're like so excited. I want to bring this home, and I love that you put it into a tiny win. I want to talk about what could be looked at as a tiny win. You posted about this on your Instagram, and I think everybody needs to go actually just see the video, but can you talk about the pay it forward drive-through moment that happened? Can you tell that story here?
Yeah, absolutely. So, man, that's the video where I just jumped on and read a review, right?
Yeah.
It was so cool, man. Just in this moment, we have Slack going, right? So one of our team members had shared like this moment that had happened in the drive-through where, a customer came through, bought the next customer's drink in line, which then spurred that person to buy the next person's drink in line, and so on and so on. So it was just this beautiful moment that was so meaningful, not only to those that were impacted by it, but by our team members, just for them to see that as well, brought so much hope and so much life in that moment. I saw that message come through. I just jumped on, I read it. My friend grabbed the camera. He said, "Let me just record you reading this real quick." And so I just read that moment to capture it. But I think that's what should be a part of our daily rhythms, is finding the good in life, being good finders. That's another one of our core values is we are good finders. And when we look for the good, and when we report the good, and when we share the good news, I think it inspires and encourages more people to do good out there. And as we even talk about the idea of heroic hospitality, it's like, man, if we could all shift our mentalities when we go to restaurants or businesses or wherever, and if we would look for demonstrations of heroic hospitality, and if we would call that out instead of, "Oh, my food was cold," or "It took 23 minutes to get it instead of 19, and if we would be people who call out heroic hospitality when we see it, I think that will help collectively make the world even, not to be cliche, but a better place as well. I just think it will inspire more people to step up in their service and what they offer. And I don't know. I have a vision to see that happen someday. So
That's beautiful. There's a principle. What you pay attention to is what grows. And if you're paying attention to finding the good and finding examples of heroic hospitality and people paying it forward and acts of kindness, you find more of that because you're looking for it, and creating a culture that does that.
That's good.
Super powerful. Well done.
Awesome. Thank you, John.
Bryan, this is awesome. I feel like we could have done a 5 or 10 part series. So
yes.
Thank you. This is incredible.
Man, I'm so thankful to have been included in this, guys. Thank you. Thanks for taking the time.
Okay. Well, you're not off the hook yet, because we do have a final question. It is very, very important. Okay. What is something you ate recently that was awesome?
Oh man, I love spicy teriyaki chicken, man. We have a local spot right here. The sweetest couple. They show heroic hospitality. Every time I purchase, for takeout, the husband waves, and from behind the stove, he pokes his head out. He goes, "Oh, hi, have a great day, sir." And he's so kind, man. And it's like those little things, those little experiences, they stick with you. That means as much to me as the delicious food that we're about to enjoy as a family when I get home. But those moments stick with you more than you know, just like the Chick-fil-A experience where my pleasure, they say that all the time. This guy just goes above and beyond. He doesn't have to acknowledge me from the back window. He pokes his head over and he's thankful that I took the time to park my car and come in and support his business. And that's the same way we feel too. Like when people, because we only have one store of our 8 stores that has a drive-through. The rest of them are all walk-in cafes. And so the absolute least we can do the moment somebody walks through our front door is greet them with this live loud mentality, with this, you know, hey, what's happening, guys? Kind of long lost friend, you know, greeting, because they parked their car and they walked across the street and they've avoided getting hit by traffic just to come see us and get coffee. So, you know, yeah, I like spicy food.
Incredible.
Yeah, I love that I asked you to talk about something you ate and you still went on to promote a local business, man. So it's so
incredible.
Bryan, I want to thank you so much. This is awesome. We really appreciate that.
Man, it's been a pleasure.
Awesome. For you guys listening, if you want more conversations and insights, John and I have a private Facebook group. You can join us. We have conversations like this, you know, inside discussions, mindset coaching. You just go to bit.ly/restmast to join. That's bit.ly/RESTMAST, short for Restaurant Master, Restaurant Executive Mastery. Again, you can just join us over there anytime you want to have some more conversation.
Thank you all for listening. And thank you, Bryan. Really, you are an extraordinary visionary leader, and we're so inspired by everything you shared with us. And just, this has been it's a very special time for us. So I just want to thank you for that.
Thank you, John, man. This is great.
If all of you have really enjoyed the show, could you please share this episode with a friend who might find it helpful? And if you really enjoy the show, we ask one favor, and that's please leave us a rating on iTunes. That helps us spread the word to others who might find this valuable like you do too.
And if you haven't subscribed to the show yet, please hit subscribe on your favorite podcast player so you don't miss a future episode featuring helpful tips from other professionals like Bryan here in the food marketing business. And everybody, please make it a great, tasty day.